Friends, we all know that Warhammer is not the cheapest thing in the world to collect, paint and to play. So we're always looking for cheaper ways to get models onto the table. Well, sometimes we get a little bit lucky and they give us a little bit of something to play with. If you've already got a Forge Fiend, then you've got half a Maulerfiend as well. Utilising those spare bits and anything else you got kicking about in that bits box for your Chaos models and slapping it over a base of a Gothizzar Harvester could make you something pretty unique. So here's a little bit about how mine turned out. Hi everyone, it's Joe here from Rufio. Welcome to the channel. For today's content, I'm going to be showing you how you can make a, well, relatively cheap conversion out of your existing Forge Fiend kit and make your own Maulerfiend. Now this does work out a little bit cheaper than going out and getting the second separate kit, and if you're already a Chaos player, you probably have a lot of these bits kicking about. Now I've been dying to do this conversion for quite some time, and I decided to bite the bullet and make my own take on it. This is something that I had seen done once before, and decided that making a go of it for myself just seemed like a great idea. Now, I did actually think I already had these bits kicking about, but it turns out actually I was missing some of the parts that I thought that I had, so I already have a Forge Fiend, and it turns out I gave some of the bits that I needed to my mate Pibs. I thought it was just the lashes that I gave him, which you'll notice are missing from this. However, it turns out I'd left half of the arms and things on there as well, so I ended up actually getting those extra bits anyway off eBay, reasonably cheap. They're usually fairly expensive, but if you've already got the Forge Fiend kit, again, you can get a lot of this really cheap. There are also some bits from the Helbrute that were left over, so I decided to make use of those too. And some of those were used in place of bits that you would probably just use from that Maulerfiend leftovers. I'll talk you through about what paints and what I did for the base and things like that as we go through the video. Now, as a note, if there's anything that you need from this video and you're looking for it, I will try and put links down in the description. Any links that I use will most likely be affiliate links, so I'll get a sure kickback, but you don't get charged anything else extra for that, but it does help support the channel. And if you are looking for cheap minis, I highly recommend Wayland Games. I'll have an affiliate link in the description to those as well. If you're based in the UK, they are absolutely fantastic, great prices, quick delivery, all of that. However, if you do have a local gaming store, I highly recommend you support them instead if possible. But anyway, enough waffling, let's talk a little bit about the model, what I've done, and kind of the things I ran into, but we'll go through all of that just now. So just a quick rundown of what I've used from where. So this is off the Helbrute, a leftover. So is this, I cut the tail here, added this, and this just slotted into those joints that are normally filled with more of these skeleton arms that you'll see kicking around holding things up here. Sorry, I am a little bit shaky. Apologies for that. And then as we go round here, we've got the Maulerfiend arms and head. This kind of gives it this weird gorilla look because of these small legs and these huge arms, which is actually kind of cool in the end. Better than I had expected, but, you know, there we go. Trying to get things in focus a little bit for you. Yeah, obviously the Maulerfiend head. Now, all of this flesh was done with green stuff. It kind of just wanted to keep it that tattered and torn look, which worked out quite nicely. The shoulder pads are off the Helbrute as well. I probably slightly misplaced this one, but there you go. All looking okay. Again, you could probably just use Maulerfiend bits for that instead of those sort of jumbo parts that go on there, but this turned out looking okay as well. Now, this part here, this Space Marine that's been absolutely obliterated, supposed to be Imperial Fist. I didn't paint it quite as well as I would have liked, but there we go. That is from the Possessed kit, so I used that for that as well. I did manage to get that bit on eBay. The basing's just done with kind of sand, PVA glue, some leftover rocks or whatever from the Army Painter basing kit, so I used that. I saw that kicking about, so I made use of it. But it's turned out pretty cool. This was done with that UHU glue that we have in the UK. I don't know if you can get it elsewhere. I think it's from Germany, it says on here. This is the box. This stuff. Mix that with Blood for the Blood God, and you get this gunky, stringy mess. The dries reasonably okay. It is a little bit brittle, so if you start kicking it about, it will snap, but it looks cool for a piece. Now, in terms of kind of what went wrong, what could have went better. These birds, these are a fucking nightmare, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. This one is actually supposed to be over this side and snapped off. I'd lost it. I managed to find it again, but in that time I'd glued the one that was supposed to be on this side, which kept falling off over here. But then this one wouldn't perch here properly, so I put it there, and actually it looks absolutely fine. Yeah, there are some kind of weird bits on this. I would highly recommend you sub-assemble it if you're looking to paint it. I had issues getting into some of the areas around the backs of the arms and things like that. I don't know if you can see. They look okay, but some of the areas are just not quite painted as well as I would have liked. And behind bits like these, you can see them at certain angles slightly white in there. I did kind of utilise as much contrast paint as I could, although there wasn't an awful lot. Mostly the bony bits are done with Skeleton Horde. I used a mixture of... What's the green glowy on? Used the Tesseract Glow, I know that. And then there's a green contrast I use. I can't remember which one it is. I feel like it might be Hex Wraith Flame. I think it's Hex Wraith Flame it's called. I use that on here just to give that kind of glow. Used a mixture of those and then just sort of dry brushed a bit over with the... and then did a little bit of watered down Tesseract Glow. And that sat quite nicely and has worked out okay. Actually, I'm quite pleased with that. The top part here is off... I think it's a Helbrute as well. Actually, it might just even be off my sort of normal Chaos Space Marine models, but what I did is I cut a bit of sprue which had kind of like a sloped and scooped end, which fit perfectly in a little hole here, which you'd normally use to mount its own. It's got like this weird flag thing that comes with it. The other thing you need is a bigger base, so the base that comes with it is quite small. So this is the one. So the kind of main bulk of the body, I should say, is made up with the Gothizzar Harvester. That's how we've got here. Now, if you look at this, the base is obviously a fair bit smaller. I ordered this one on eBay, quite cheap, and it came with the magnets. And then, as you can see, this one is much smaller. So you get some real estate to play with, which is quite nice as well. Now, in terms of the paints used, I used Acadian Flesh Tone for all of this. Went over with a bit of Caribird Crimson, and then just dry brushed back over Acadian Flesh Tone just to bring out some of the highlights again, so it wasn't all just this sort of dingy red colour. I used Vallejo Old Gold for all my gold. That's what I use for any of my Black Legion models. So yeah, if you see any of my Black Legion stuff, that's what you use in that. For the silver, I used Dark Star Dark Steel, I think it's called, or Dark Star Steel. It's one of these molten metal ones, this one. Looks absolutely fantastic. And then what happens is you go over it with Nuln Oil, or your wash of choice, usually a darker one. And what happens is under certain lights it looks black, under certain lights it looks a bit more silver. Yeah, you just get this really cool look to it rather than just the generic Black Legion look, which is what I was trying to avoid. Again, Skeleton Horde for all of the skeleton bits, so nothing too crazy there. For the birds, I can't remember whether it was Black Temple or Black Legion I used on those. I tend to use them pretty interchangeably. There are slight differences, but not a huge deal. Again, Blood for the Blood God for all the gore, along with the UHU glue. Mixed that together nicely. That worked quite well. The Imperial Fist contrast just used for that. For the base, normally I use Astra Granite on all mine, but this was too big and I didn't want to fanny about. And I also wanted to just have a bit more life in the base, so I decided to go for, I think it was Storm Vermin Fur. I ran that over the top. I'd sprayed it all black, went over with the Storm Vermin over everything being painted. It'd be good if you can do that with a rattle can or something like that, because it took a little while and didn't quite get all of it done as well as I would have liked, but it looks okay. Most of the metals are done with Ironbreaker and then Nuln Oil over the top, the typical hack that gets you over the line. I don't think there's much else to say on this in terms of like colours used. The bones were, I think, still all Skeleton Horde and just dry brushed over them with a lighter kind of sandy colour. Let's have a look. Obviously some highlights and bits as well, but nothing too special there. There we go, Imperial Guard helmet in there, covered in a bit of blood. But yeah, it turned out okay. I'm pretty happy with how it's gone. It looks all right. There's a few bits that could have been executed better. Again, in hindsight, I've never painted with yellow, certainly not with the contrast, and I didn't realise how much of a fucker it is. Didn't turn out quite as well, but a bit of gore made up for some of that, so that's fine. But yeah, I'll do a short video at the end. You'll be able to see this thing spinning around, so you can see it all from all the different angles and bits and bobs like that. But yeah, again, I just wanted to show you there's a way you can kind of do your own cheap version of a Maulerfiend if you're happy to do so. It's the Gothizzar Harvester from Age of Sigmar. Just I've got the box here so you can see what it looks like. Normally, this is the guy before conversion, so you can see I've used most of that. There was a few bits in there, like some of the arms have like fucking Ligmarine helmets in them and stuff like that. We don't care about that, so we took those off and replaced them with those lashes. If you've got the Maulerfiend box, you've got half of this anyway. I think you can pick the bits up for about 15 quid on eBay normally. If you don't, but then it ends up being almost the cost of a normal Maulerfiend, so there's no point. But again, if you've got the Forge Fiend, you've got these bits kicking about, you can pick up just a base and the Gothizzar Harvester. The Harvester's usually quite cheap. I think it also comes in whatever army that is, it's in their starter box, so you can normally get them for, I don't know, maybe 30 quid, something like that, which if you've only really got a base to pick up on top of that, it's like £35 for a Maulerfiend. It's not bad going. I've seen some people use that as a Helbrute, so if that's something you want to do, that's an option for you as well. But anyway, just kind of wanted to make this a relatively quick video, which has gone on a little bit longer than planned. Just kind of showing you how I made my own, would normally be budget Maulerfiend, but ended up costing me probably the bloody same in the end after I added all the extra bits that I was missing. So if you've got a Chaos kind of bits box, this is probably quite cheap for you to make, and you can get yourself an extra model out of it. Plus, it looks kind of cool, looks a little bit different, looks better than just, you know, a generic Maulerfiend like everyone else has, so something a little bit different that you can do. Now, if you do have any questions, post them down in the comments. I will answer them as best I can. I use a ton of other stuff, so this will be over on TikTok and things like that. There'll be the short video that you'll see at the end here. If you have questions, post them over there. I answer as many people as I possibly can. If you're interested in more Warhammer content, of course, I'll be trying to post as much as I can. It's a little bit harder, certainly less than the Yu-Gi-Oh! Content from the olden days. I don't really have that time anymore, but I'll be posting as much as I can. I post a lot of shorts, so you'll see a lot of those come up. And if I do more of these cool conversions, of course, I will share them with you if there's demand to see it. So but that's all from me. Thank you very much for coming along. I do appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next one.